Welcome to this new Addon Spotlight. In this Addon Spotlight we're gonna look at this nice aircraft. It's the Grumman G164 B. It's being developed by a community member, which is really cool. Currently we're located at a small airport somewhere in the, I would say, mid-Americas. So let's take a closer look at it. So you can see that it looks, I would say, pretty nicely detailed, right? So you can see that everything is, I would say, you can see the wear here. You can see that it's being used, right? And if I would move the steering wheel, you can also see it. That's cool. In addition to that, when moving to the other side, we can see some nice details from the pilot, right? So I need to go a little bit lower. And also the, I would say, detail here is, I would say, pretty well. Keep in mind, it's still a work in progress, right? So for our, I would say, first version, it looks already really cool. And now then go to the most impressive thing is, of course, the front of the aircraft, the propeller and the engine. So really cool. So to install the add-on, you need to pay attention, because when you're downloading the zip, you shouldn't extract it directly into the community folder. You should extract it first in a temporary folder and then copy the two folders separately to the community folder itself. So be aware of that. Else you might end up that you're starting the game and then, hey, nothing happens. So now let's look at the inside, right? So we can see the wings, all nice. We can see the moving wings, hopefully. Probably that will come later on. So let's look at the buttons here. So you can see that looking at this, it already is, I would say, looks really nice. It has a nav lock, it has several buttons. Wondering if all the buttons are working. Well, at least I can see that the magneto is working. We can see the batteries are working. Then here are some buttons, the navigation lights, the strobes, and this one doesn't work as it looks like. So probably work in progress. Then on the left side we can see the mixture and the propeller and the throttle, and then here we can see the fuel selector, which is currently being set to off. Then here we've got the pedals to, say, control the aircraft, right, to steer during taxiing, and then we've got the dashboard here. Oh, looks pretty nice, highly detailed gauges, as you can see, the RPM, the airspeed, the fuel meter, the climb rate, the altimeter, the electrical power. Then here we've got the oil related things like the temperature and also the PSI, and here we've got the compass, and then here we've got nothing, as it looks like. Then here's the calibration for the altimeter, right? You can also reset that by pressing the B from Bravo on your keyboard. And here we've got the turning angle, goes maximum to 10, right? Always be careful with that. So let's see if we can get this one running. So probably we first need to switch on the battery. Already makes some noise, that's good. Then we can look at this angle, because I do expect we need to set the fuel selector to on. And then in most cases you need to set the propeller and the mixture both to full. And then we can try to see if we can change the magneto. Oh. Do we already see something happening or hear something happening? I didn't hear anything, so maybe we should also switch on this one. Yeah, that was the trick. So what's the trick? Switch on the master battery, the master alternator, make sure that the fuel selector has been set to on, and then of course you can switch on the navigation lights and the strobes. And I would say then we can see that the gauges are working, right? We can see that the RPMs have increased. We can see that the oil PSI increases. The temperature increases a bit. So let's look from the outside now. Really cool view, right? So now the next challenge is that we're gonna take this one for a fly. So the other good thing is that I would say the cameras are working nicely. As you can see, they're working, I would say, pretty well. So let's take off the parking brake. Be careful, because if you're removing the parking brake, the engine I was almost say the airplane starts driving, but that looks like that I did forget one important thing, which you always should check when you're performing a checklist, and that's making sure that you set the throttle to 0. And that's of course what I did not do. So always set it front and then pull it back, and that will so the engine is running. So let me then do set one thing to be safe. Let me start pushback. And this one is the pushback tool, right? Also available on Flight Sim 2. You can see that the wheel was pushed in the wrong way, but that doesn't matter for now. So we're gonna hold here, and then we're gonna stop. Make sure the parking brake is set, and then we can try and take off. So I'm gonna remove the parking brakes, and then try to taxi. I'm gonna sit a little bit higher because that's, say, easier for now, and then we're gonna remove the pushback tool. In the meantime, we're gonna see if there's some traffic. I'm gonna
Mike November Lima November traffic Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra taking off runway 27 straight.
also be careful with pushing the brakes. So then you need to push it, and then you can also hear that the sound is really cool, right? So I'm gonna remove this one. So then we're gonna stop the engine. Set the parking brakes. So one of the things which we want to do, of course, maybe set some flaps. So let me see if that works. You can see that it works because you can see that the flow of the air is different. I would say that's really cool done, right? So if you do it like this, push it to max, then you will actually see that the airflow is different. That's cool. So let me reset it back to 0. I don't see the flaps really moving, to be honest. The other thing which I'm missing is that the wings are not working or turning, but again, it's work in progress, so I shouldn't complain too much. Let's see if we can get this one airborne. See that the back wheel comes up, or the back of the airplane. So the tail. And we're flying. So we can see that the vertical speed increases. We can see that the airspeed is working, that the RPMs. It changes also the compass. So it looks like that it's pretty much working. All the, I'd say, gauges are working. Also this small tool which shows us the, let's say, degree of turning. It flies a steady space, or steady pace I should say. So that's cool, right? So here you can see it from the outside while flying. Oh, that was also, you did you see that, right? It also shows the, I'd say, what it's leaving behind, so that's cool. And if you reset the flaps, then it won't show it again. So I would say some nice details, right? It's a nice aircraft for probably doing some sightseeing. And in addition to that, it looks like it's also used for, let's say, spraying the ground or something. Maybe if you are, for example, doing something with potatoes or with wheat, then you can spray on it to prevent, I would say, nasty small animals from eating them up. Another thing which I'm thinking is this would also be a cool aircraft for, I would say, a trip from one end to the country to the other end of the country and then simply flying to the coast. One thing I want to mention is that there are, or there is also in that zip, there's a manual. And that manual simply is, I would say, it looks like it's a traditional manual, it's an official manual of the aircraft, which you can use. So that's cool. I don't think it's really useful for Flight Simulator itself, but at least you know, okay, some of the climbing rates, etc., you know that. That's easy. The thing you just saw, right, this, I would say, spray behind the aircraft, which you can see here. That only works if you place both of the folders inside the community folder. If you, for example, don't place the KR Customs boom spray into the community folder, then it won't work, then you won't see the spray. So it's actually indeed spray for, I would say, when flying over stuff, to make sure that it's not attacked by small ends, etc. So, and then when resetting the flaps, it will automatically shut that functionality off. So let's see where the airport is, and let's see if we can make a safe landing. That's always a challenge, right? Especially if you're flying for the first time with an aircraft. But you can see it works pretty nice. It's also nicely modeled. So I would say if this is, I would say, what we can expect from the end product, it's really cool. So let's open the VFR map so we know where to fly to. I had the idea that we're coming from that direction. Can simply zoom out a bit. Yep. So we need to make a turn to the left. And then fly straight into the airport. Of course, we need to understand how the direction is of the runway. That's like this, right? So if we would fly in straight, then we can make a turn to the left and then say land safely, or at least try to land safely. Let's give it a try. So what the editor of the or developer of this aircraft says is that he will add more functionalities to the aircraft. Think like an elevated trim control and the spray system controls So now you manage them using the flaps, but he will add specific tools for that. Or specific buttons, I should say. Of course, we can also fly straight into the airport. But then in that case, we probably need to decrease altitude a bit. Because we're flying at 3,000 feet already. And there we have got the airport, as you can see. At least, I think it is. Yeah. It's already there, so probably we won't make that. If we would now, I would say, make a sharp turn to the right, then we will probably crash into the ground. And that's of course not what we want, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna reduce speed. Also reduce altitude safely. We're then gonna make a left turn here. So we're gonna continue the turn. So continuing the turn to the left. Also reducing speed and then see if we can drop flaps a bit. So while we're flying, we're reducing the speed. Because we're still flying with 100 miles. Probably far too fast, so let's also decrease the angle of attack. And I do think that we're going too fast, as you can see. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a flyover. Or should we try it? No, as you can see we're going far too fast. So that's not a good idea, so let's increase throttling a bit. And then make a turn, because I do think that if we would land with this speed, then it would not help a lot. I would also probably cause some issues. And as you can see, the aircraft is in the middle of a small town, it looks like a pretty big town, or pretty big city probably I should say. So let me open the map. You can hear the aircraft. It doesn't like if we do that, right? Probably it's due to the fact that I'm still into the Reno races. So I'm gonna reduce throttling completely to 0, because I need to decrease my speed, but I also decrease the altitude, but also decrease the speed. There's no way to really decrease the speed different than this, because it looks like the flaps are not yet working, but we're going far too fast, as you can see, right? But yeah, let's give it a try. Oh, not so good. So here ends our video. Unfortunately we crashed right during the landing. I already told you we're going far too fast, and indeed we were going far too fast because we crashed. So not a good ending of this video. However, I hope you liked it. If you like it, then consider to use the like button. If you want to download this aircraft, you will find the download in the description of this video. And if you have comments or questions, then feel free to post them in the comment box below. And of course, if you want to stay up to date about new videos I'm posting, then consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching and see you next time.